Good morning everyone, and first of all thank you so much for attending this unveiling today to absolute British airfield great Kirton-in-Lindsey airfield. Just to give you the usual quick potted history of this airfield and why this all matters so much to every single one of us. Kirton-in-Lindsey airfield first opened in May 1940 and very quickly became very heavily involved in the Battle of Britain. This was one of the most important airfields in that conflict, the world's greatest ever air battle, because not least it was a fighter sector station as a form of headquarters airfield. So during the conflict until the autumn of 1940, many squadrons passed through here on active service, helping to crucially defend Britain. You had Hawker Hurricane and Supermarine Spitfire squadrons, and then also notably as well, and this was quite photographed to a degree, Bolt and Paul Defiant squadrons, these turret fighters that were heavily in action, especially in southern England. So once the Battle of Britain ended in the autumn of 1940, Kirton-in-Lindsey adopted a more offensive instead of defensive fighter role and took the war back to the enemy, and this often necessitated squadrons having to make advanced refuelling stops at airfields in southern England. So for the next 2 years or so into the middle of World War II, many RAF squadrons, including for example the 3 Eagle squadrons, the American volunteer units that served with the Royal Air Force before America entered officially World War II. They played a tremendous part in helping to defend this country and of course win World War II. There was a big change in the spring of 1943 when Kirton-in-Lindsey, along with its satellite airfield of Hibblestone, where only yesterday in conjunction with the North Lincolnshire Aviation Heritage Centre, we extremely successfully unveiled a similar memorial. It became the home of number 53 Operational Training Unit, which primarily flew Spitfires from here and also at Hibblestone until the end of World War II in Europe. After that, Kirton-in-Lindsey remained very prominent and important in RAF circles, being home to various training RAF units, and this carried on, including a notable, also quite strong association with still RAF base Digby in the 1950s. This carried on until the airfield first closed in RAF circles in December 1965, and as many as you will remember, it was transferred to the British Army to become Rapier Barracks. So the Army carried on here until the start of the new millennium, and then the RAF came back in 2004 to house number 1 Air Control Centre, which was a major air control radar unit, and it stayed here at Kirton-in-Lindsey until moving to the world's greatest ever and best loved bomber airfield of all time, the one and only Scampton, in 2012. So as you will see on the memorial, and in conjunction with the most tremendous help we've had from local officialdom, one gentleman, Neil, who's here today, and we're extremely grateful for all his help. The airfield, you will see the closing date is actually 2012. Now, just a couple of quick technical points there without going into overload here naturally. People might say, well, hang on a second, what about the Trent Valley Gliding Club just down the road here? But Kirton-in-Lindsey is one of about 75 airfields in the UK that are described as quote-unquote limited flying. In other words, they're not disused, but they're not fully active. So this again is reflected in the closing date. But following on from that, from what we gather, very sadly, things have not been going too well with the airfield more recently, and it's fair to say a lot of people, not only locally but further afield, are very concerned about what may happen in the future. So this is one of the many reasons why we are not only unveiling this memorial, but we also, one of our other main jobs for the charity is we try and help save airfields in various ways. So you know we're around, we'll do all we can naturally to help. But just final point following on from that, as we just say in our travels over the years, that just please do all you can to help Britain's airfields active and disused, because they have played the most tremendous part in advancing everyday society for the betterment of all. These places are the most marvellous forces for good. They've won wars, saved lives, helped people, and revolutionised everyday society for the better. But very sadly, since more or less our airfields first appeared in the UK in 1909, so many individuals and organisations have, to put it very kindly, just not regarded them at all. And it's such a tragedy, not just for the airfield itself, like here at Kirton-in-Lindsey, but needless to say, not forgetting all the incredibly brave and dedicated people who have served at this airfield ever since 1940, and not forgetting their families. So again, as we just simply say, please do all you can to help them, because if nothing else, just do remember that through helping them, you're helping yourselves and society in general. It's as relatively simple as that. Now, again, just before we unveil the memorial, and thank you all very much again for attending, just after the unveiling, if you could please observe a 2-minute silence in memory of this airfield and everyone who served here. Then a homage will be provided, and then after that, musical acknowledgement. So it is therefore with very great pleasure that I, on behalf of our national charity, is now unveiling what will now be our 199th memorial. We're going as fast as we can with this. Incidentally, at the end of this month, the 200 will be fellow Battle of Britain legend Norfolk Airfield Coltishall, associated with people like Douglas Bader, for example. Incredibly famous airfield. So without further ado, we are really honoured and pleased to be unveiling this memorial to yet another of Britain's absolutely priceless top historical and physical assets, the one and only Kirton-in-Lindsey airfield. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. I'll swing up. Well, again, thank you so much for attending, and that concludes the unveiling ceremony. And it goes without saying, we hope this memorial gives the airfield and your community good fortune, and we wish you well. Thank you very much.